But driving safe, it's a campaign that we have, and we have a discourse this morning on vehicle certification as well as what headlamp you should be using. We go all the way to the Ghana Standards Authority where Mamavi Owusu Abwaje is standing by. Mama, if you can hear me, do take it away.
Alex, please, can you use your phone to call?
Right, so we'll be crossing over to my colleague, Mamavi Owusu Abwaje shortly. But it's a conversation about road safety, basically. And you know that in the past weeks, days, we've been honing on that very matter because the accidents on our roads are far too many. What do we do about them? We're fulfilling our responsibility in terms of educating you. We've been bringing you a lot. Yesterday, we were telling you about what to do when it's raining. We've told you about how to check your car in different forms to ensure that it is roadworthy. And today we're talking about certification, the right certification for your vehicle. What ought to be done? What are the processes to be followed? What are the standards? The Ghana Standards Authority is going to be walking us through that. We're also going to be talking about the bit to do with headlamps. It appears you would notice as you drive, some of them, especially at night, high beaming, white-colored, headlamps. Apparently, those are illegal, but a lot of people have them. So what is the situation on the ground, and what should the situation be per law, per regulations? The Ghana Standards Authority regulates some of these as well. And we can cross over now to the Ghana Standards Authority where Mamavi Owusu Abwaje is.
These days, people are driving with all sorts of lights that turns to blind other road users. I have come to Tete Kwashi. This is near, this is actually exactly at Shashi, opposite the Golf House to the Ghana Standards Authority. So we can talk about this issue with them. And I'm sure you're wondering what Ghana Standards Authority has got to do with vehicles and headlights. Well, that's why we're here to find out. I've got the head of the Ghana Standards Authority's vehicle
unit.
Exactly, the vehicle unit. Macmillan is here to help us with this conversation. A very good morning to you.
Good morning to you.
Thank you for coming out of your main office to meet us. Of course, we're talking about vehicles, so we couldn't be inside your office to talk about this matter.
Yeah.
And first, tackle the issue of what have you got to do, Ghana Standards Authority, with the vehicles on our roads?
All right. So since 2003, the Ghana Standards Authority is responsible for ensuring the quality and safety of any high-risk good coming into Ghana. This we do under the authority of the Ministry of Trade and Industry. However, since 2019, with the development and the launch of the Ghana Automotive Development Policy by His Excellency the President Nana Akufo-Addo, the Ghana Standards Authority has been mandated to both develop standards but also ensure that those standards are being complied with for vehicle as well as vehicle components and parts. So since that 2019, this has been our responsibility to do so, and that's what we are doing.
Okay, so let's settle the score now. You have standards for a lot of things in our country today.
Yes.
Do you have standards for the vehicles that are driving right now behind you?
All right. So at present, we have about 26 standards which apply to new vehicles for just 3 categories of vehicles. Now, these 3 categories of vehicles include saloon cars, SUVs, and then light commercial vehicles like pickups, cargo vans, and also minibuses. So for any of the vehicles that fall in this category, we have standards for the whole vehicle as well as specific vehicle components which Ghana and its stakeholders decided were critical to safety and therefore should be assessed. These parts include headlamps, all lights on the vehicle, the glazing, the glass, windshield, sides, the brakes, the tires, the seat belts. These things, the seat anchorages, these are things that were deemed important for us to assess now.
Okay.
So all vehicle assemblers and as well as manufacturers for imported vehicles are required to comply with those standards in ensuring that these components meet the international standards which have been adopted by Ghana.
But that's an area that we just recently went into because
Yes.
we're now assembling vehicles in Ghana.
Exactly.
But how many people drive brand new vehicles?
Approximately, if we are going by figures, we'll see approximately 10% of the population drive new vehicles. The average number of vehicles either coming into the country prior to this, the assembly plant were about 10,000 to 100,000 total number of vehicles. So that's about 10%. So new vehicle to used vehicle is 10 to 9.
Okay,
Yes.
so now let's talk about the rest of the people who make up the larger percentage of vehicle users or drivers. Is there a standard for the used vehicles that we import in Ghana today?
Not yet. So we are still in the development phase of a national standard for used vehicles. Now you cannot certify or homologate a used vehicle. No manufacturer would want to comply. Okay, no manufacturer would want to look to take responsibility for a used vehicle. So we are looking at a used vehicle standard for Ghana, and it should be completed this year for implementation before this year ends.
So the kind of headlights that people are using these days, and I'm putting the spotlight there because that came up strongly yesterday when we're talking about our Drive Safe campaign and when we're talking about driving in the rain or driving at night. Who controls that? I know there's the DVLA, but what's your role in this?
So on a yearly basis or probably biannually for commercial vehicles, the DVLA will continue to check to ensure that vehicles that are on the road meet the requirement to be on the road. Our role at the moment is to look at new vehicles being put onto the market or used vehicles coming into the country. What standards do they meet even before getting into the country? Now for headlights, we already have standards for the headlamps for all these three categories of vehicles that I described to you.
We already have standards?
For the new ones. Okay. So there are these standards are there. Now the component standard for headlights would apply even to a used vehicle or more importantly to a replacement part. So this is where we come in to ensure that the vehicle components meet the standards. So if there a lot of the times the challenge you are facing is not with the vehicle as it came in, but usually after it has come in, it probably has been certified by the DVLA the first time, and the person goes in and gets a replacement part. And then they fit it in and it's not functioning properly. Now, it could not function properly for a few reasons. It could be that there is a problem with the light source the person has purchased. He has purchased a faulty light source. Now, a typical light source will want to provide you with a beam that is focused. In fact, if you are facing like a wall, you should be able to see a concentrated portion of the light, and it shouldn't be totally diffused. So you may be purchasing a faulty light source, be it a LED, a filament, or probably a gas discharge lamp. Any of them could have that problem. A second problem has to do with the angle of that light to the ground. Now, there are specific requirements for how the headlamp should be leveled to ensure that the light is below the eye level of the oncoming driver. This as well, many a times have not been done well. A third thing that comes to mind is what lamp the person purchased. Now the lamps as you see them in the vehicles as they are passing, these lamps come in two types. They may be designed for a right-hand drive or for a left-hand drive. Now, if you are using a lamp for a left-hand drive, as we have in our country, the light on the left side on where the driver is designed such that the light emitting source focuses away from the oncoming driver. Just that one. And you realize that it's totally different from the one on the right, which spreads out a bit more. This design is intentional not to blind the oncoming driver. Now, not knowing this, the problem is that people may import and fit to their vehicles lamps which are designed for a right-hand drive, and therefore the lamp on the left side now starts to blind the driver on the opposite side.
So who has failed us then? Because there's the Standards Authority and there's the Driver Vehicle Licensing Authority.
I think it will just be, I would just say we are just at the right moment where under the leadership of the ministry, because this policy under the Ministry of Trade and Industry was introduced by the Honorable Alan Tremantin. This is what has brought up this need for us to look at the entire auto industry and see how can we correct certain things in there. So like I told you, this unit here, the GSA, is only about a year old now, and we have already been looking at the quality of vehicles being assembled. We've done that for VW, and we can guarantee to you that the lamps on those vehicles, as well as all the other components required by law, have been met, be it tires or whatever.
Which is great, except that only about 10%, as you said,
and
would use a brand new vehicle.
Yeah, so we are making progress. As we said, we have done this, and now we are moving into, as we speak, the draft for used vehicle is already ready. We are just looking to complete it in the next few months, and then the implementation will start. The standard for the components, being the headlamps, is already existing. The implementation for that...
But we're using it wrongly. Most of us are using it wrongly.
It's possible. So we need some education, we need some enforcement, we need some... So I think this is a great opportunity. Many listening may be hearing this for the first time and say, oh, did I buy a wrong headlamp? Did I buy a wrong light source? Did I level it wrongly? Whichever be the case. So we would start to look at not only the manufacturers, but the fitters, also looking at what can we do to ensure that this is being fitted correctly. Because if this is done well, it will not matter even how bright a light is. It should not hit the driver in the oncoming vehicle at their eye level. So if that is happening, if somebody is driving behind you and you can see a reflection of their light in your mirrors, then already you know something is wrong. The light the leveling is not done well.
Okay.
So these are the basic things that have to be done. So as we progress, we will be looking at ensuring that vehicles and replacement parts that are coming into the country meet the requirement. Because buyers cannot, at the point of sale, determine by just looking at a lamp and say, look, this lamp is one that meets national standard. We are required to do so. And we are collaborating very closely with the DVLA in our operations at the moment to ensure that we will be able to complement each other in what we do, ensure that the public have access to good quality lamps, light sources, and they are being fitted, installed correctly as well. Then on an annual basis, DVLA can ensure that people are meeting these.
So whilst you work on documentation before you go through the necessary policy protocols, I understand there's also a standard for night lighting. Maybe you can help our viewers understand that, some of the things that we can do.
So the standard for night lighting. So the standard for lights actually refer to the night, because during the day we would usually not use them.
We use it when it rains sometimes.
When it rains. Yes. And it's all because, again, you are having poor visibility. The clouds are covering, so it's becoming dark. And that is the reason for it. So these standards I have just mentioned to you, these requirements apply to both situations, that you should have this. For your dipped beam, for your main beam, what we call the highlight, and then also for your fog lights as well. All of these need to provide the light intensity, have the right orientation, have the right position, also have the right leveling as well. If these things are done, your light should be able to function well. And for the sake of the viewers, many of the lamps, in fact, if not all of them, will come with a manual adjustment to be able to make these corrections to the vehicle. And if you should speak to your light installer or fitter, they should be able to help you to do this. Those with a bit of a DIY skill can check this out on YouTube, and you might be able to do this at home yourself. Park your car 25 feet from a wall, and have the vehicle laden. You should have at least half a tank full. Because what really happens is that if you have your vehicle and the lights are set, and you load the vehicle in the back, the front goes up slightly, and then the headlight starts to hit the oncoming driver. So usually experts who would try to set the vehicle lamp. We want to check what load the vehicle can take and try to load it up a bit, and then see exactly what the angle is, and then have it set. Have no problem.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Okay, Macmillan, in the absence of any other tips that you want to give us as we drive with our personal standards until you set the national standard for those who are using already used vehicles into the country. I'd like to say thank you for your time. So if you have any last minute tips that you want to give us.
Well, I wouldn't have tips, I rather have assurances.
Okay.
That I can tell you the ministry is working hard. DVLA, the GSA, the Ghana Revenue Authority, UNIPAS, several players in the industry are currently working to make sure that other aspects of the policy are implemented for the benefit of Ghanaians. And as the months go by, you will see that these things are being implemented both at the point of entry and on the market. And I think the best thing about it for me was to actually get involved and say, look, we need this. We had the support from them. And so I'll just take the opportunity to say thank you to all the stakeholders who have made what we are doing now possible, and I hope to, working with them, we'll be able to do more.
Okay, so you're going to go back to the table to continue or bring up the issue of the used vehicles and how old they should be before we import them into the country.
Yes.
For now, we're sticking to the 10 years. If you do above 10 years, you pay a certain penalty.
At the moment, yes.
Okay. Would we see that scrapped? Is that part of the conversation?
Yes. So the conversation at the moment is that the policy should now enforce 10 years and nothing above that. So like you rightly said, previously it would have been 10 years. If it's above 10 years, I pay a fine and then I bring it in. Now the new direction will be no. If it's above 10 years, it doesn't come into the country. Another aspect that we need to look at, another aspect. And third, but not the least, of course, is the issue of salvage. Vehicles that are flooded, vehicles that have been involved in an accident and similar things, what degree of damage is acceptable to come into the country? This is another area that we as a people need to define. We do have experts, good artisans in the country to make certain repairs. But certain amount of damage affects the integrity of the vehicle no matter how you repair it. So can we come to an agreement on what amount of damage is acceptable? Is it just a mirror, a glass, or a bumper? What exactly is it that is acceptable for repair in country and what kind shouldn't come? I'm sure once we clarify these things, implementing it will be easier, because we as a people have agreed, look, this is the way we are going to go.
Okay.
And then we believe things would get better.
All right, Macmillan Prentice, I wish you the very best with these conversations.
Thank
they can
you.
get really tough because we know that that's major business for some importers as well. But thank you very much. He is the head of the vehicle units at the Ghana Standards Authority. It's been our Drive Safe campaign, and today you join me live from Shashi, right outside the main office of the Ghana Standards Authority, and we've been talking about standards for vehicles, brand new vehicles, those assembled in Ghana. That's no problem at all, but the issue is the used vehicles that we import. You heard from the Ghana Standards Authority, and so from me, Mama Vioso Abuaje, I'd like to say thank you very much for watching. Over to you, Benjamin, as we wrap up the AM show today.